to Law&Crime. Two hearings were scheduled Monday in Allen County, Indiana, surrounding the Delphi murders case. Defendant Richard Allen is charged in the 2017 deaths of two teenagers, Abby Williams and Libby Germain. The pair vanished while on a hike in the Delphi historic trails, and their bodies were found in the vicinity the following day. Allen's trial is slated to begin in May, but several issues still need to be addressed ahead of the trial. On Monday morning, the attorneys discussed whether or not prosecutors will be allowed to hit Allen with additional charges in the case. He already faces 2 counts of murder, which carries a prison sentence of 45 to 65 years. Prosecutors wanted to amend the charges to include 2 additional counts of kidnapping, because they believe it more accurately reflects the discovery information and probable cause affidavit. After hearing arguments from both sides, the judge ultimately dismissed those proposed kidnapping charges. On Monday afternoon, the judge will also decide if Allen's defense team will be held in contempt. Prosecutors filed a motion earlier this year accusing the defense of violating a gag order by issuing a press release proclaiming Allen's innocence back in 2022. Another major incident happened in October 2023 when police were notified about an evidence leak from the office of Allen's defense attorney, Andrew Baldwin. Lots going on here. Baldwin said his former employee was behind the leak, which led to crime scene evidence being spread throughout social media. One of the men involved in the leak actually took his own life after being interviewed by police about it. Now, there's a lot to break down in this case, so I'm bringing back in trial attorney and federal litigator Robin Nunn and also criminal defense attorney Paul Townsend to help me break this all down. The judge previously accused the defense attorneys of gross negligence before removing them from the case, but they were later reinstated by the state Supreme Court. How, Paul, could this impact the judge being able to hold them in contempt of court in the present day? It's so much going on, but could the judge hold them in contempt of court here?
So there's so much chaos that has been going on in this case. There's so many wild and fantastical claims that have been thrown around. There's so much that's been accused, misconduct that's been accused of both sides by the other side. But the interesting thing, these guys thrown off the case, reinstated. This judge clearly does not hold these lawyers in terribly high regard, having thrown them off the case. He's going to be very circumspect with regard to them. They're going to be on a short leash. Anything that they do that might be perceived as a violation of a court order, whether it's a gag order or any other order, any ethics complaints that are filed against them by the prosecutors, I think are going to receive maybe enhanced scrutiny a little bit. I think this judge is going to be very, very careful about dealing with them, because clearly he has already determined that what they have done with this case in violating past gag orders and putting out press releases, in leaking crime scene photographs and evidence is a real problem. Even against their own clients, it's going to be more difficult for them to get a fair trial with all this stuff coming out from their own side. So, yeah, I think this judge is going to really be on them to make sure that they comply with the strict letter of his orders.
Exactly. I mean, there's so much that you said, Paul, that is going on as far as that defense is concerned. And if, in fact, there were leaks and if there was a gag order and they weren't supposed to put out any press releases, the judge is already looking at them as though they've already started behind the 8 ball. There's so much that they've done already. Robin, one of the things that I'm thinking about is these kidnapping charges that the judge didn't allow. And, you know, do you think that's the right decision here? I mean, there were the 2 bodies of the young girls obviously found, sadly, after the fact. But why do you think the judge decided, no, I'm not going to allow you to add those charges here?
I think the judge had to look at the evidence, had to look at the indictment, had to look at the charging orders and what he had before him prior to the beginning of this trial. Adding new charges onto a trial at this late in the game is difficult. It makes it harder for the prosecutors, and it also makes it harder for the defense to defend against. So I think that the judge was taking what he felt like was the fairest approach, and that the information that led to this trial did not warrant a kidnapping charge, and therefore he's not going to allow it.
Exactly. And I think it's already a very complicated case. And I think the judge is trying to make it as simple as he possibly can. And this happened so long ago. It's very difficult, something that's already been in the media. I know the judge wants to get this case over with as little controversy as possible. So perhaps that was the best thing to do, to just leave it already with the charges that the prosecution thought was really drawn out and thought about very carefully. All right, we have to take a break. We're here now. Please stay with us on Law and Crime. And when we come back, we'll have more. Stay with us.